Hello and welcome to another episode of Pardon the Vulgarity. I am your host, Criminally Vulgar, and this is my co-host, Rock Dixon. And I'm sure you love those pajama pants. I roll in style. This is the playoff show. It probably should have been the playoff show yesterday, but I decided that I wanted to do a playoff show until today, so here we are. I'll just run down the playoff series starting in the East because I know more about the East and give you my thoughts and my pick that you probably don't care about, but we'll watch anyway, hopefully. Washington and the Rangers. Looks like a good matchup for Washington, at least on paper, with the way New York finished the season. Until you realize that before the Rangers crapped their way into the playoffs, they were one of the hotter teams in the league, and they also beat the Capitals 3 times out of 4 in the regular season, including 2 blowout 7-0, 6-0 wins. So, might actually be one of the teams that Washington didn't want to face in the first round. The Capitals' power play and penalty kill has been awful against the Rangers. They're 1 of 15 on the power play, and not so good on the penalty kill either. 69% of the penalty kill. Yay, 2 different numbers. And the Rangers have been good on the power play and penalty kill against the Capitals, obviously. So that's a little bit of an interesting matchup. Wow, I sound horrible today. However, as I said, the Rangers have been kind of skidding into the playoffs here, and the Capitals have been coming in pretty hot. 18-8-0 in their last in their last 30 games, discounting shootouts in those games. It's almost a 700 win percentage for the Capitals, and they're not scoring a whole lot, but they're playing the best defense in the Eastern Conference. And their special teams are decent. So I think that they are going to do what they should against the Rangers. I actually did pick the Capitals in 7, mostly because of Lundqvist. He's usually good to prolong a series or 2. Not quite as good to win a series or 2. So Caps in 7 for me there. The big one, the Flyers and the Sabres. I think this might be the most evenly matched series of the playoffs. I think Philadelphia has a slight advantage in both offensive and defensive depth, but not as big as everyone thinks. And I think Buffalo's got an edge in goaltending, and again, not as big as everyone thinks. And that's not a knock on Miller, that's praise of Bobrovsky, who he does have some good games in him. He has some clunkers as well, but he is capable, and that scares me a little bit. That having been said, the questions surrounding Chris Pronger's return, coupled with the Flyers just absolutely awful slide into the playoffs, 458 winning percentage in those last 30 games, 14% on the power play, 82% on the penalty kill, not great numbers. And Buffalo's hot, what's the opposite of slide? Anti-slide into the playoffs. Over 600 winning percentage in those last 30 games. Not playing great team defense, but they are actually the highest scoring team in the East heading into the playoffs in those last several games. With all this talk about Philly's offensive depth, the Sabres are actually looking a lot better in that regard lately. That having been said, I do think they match up pretty evenly. I'm a Sabres fan, so I basically took Buffalo in 7, but it should be a pretty close series. Moving on, Boston and Montreal. Jesus, couldn't have scripted that one any better. It's weird. Boston is head and shoulders the better team when you watch them play. I think they have better defense, they've got more goal scorers, their goaltending is at least fairly close to Montreal's, and they're a lot bigger and more physical, and yeah, Montreal beat them 4 out of the 2 times in the regular season. Of course, one of those losses being the unbelievable 7-0 shellacking right after the Chara hit. So I don't know what to make of that. It's funny. I did my my stats article for Black and Blue and Gold, detailing the team's records in their last 30 games, and Boston actually is poised to lose this series the same way they won their series last year. Their special teams aren't as good as Montreal, both heading into the playoffs and in head-to-head games between those two teams. So even though they're the 3 seed this time, they might find a plucky 6 seed, shutting down their power play and dismantling their penalty kill. They could, but I don't think it'll happen. I think Montreal's injuries, especially along the blue line, are going to catch up to them, and I took the Bruins in 7, owing largely to Montreal's special teams acumen and Carey Price. 4 versus 5, Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh is another team like Philadelphia that has been pretty bad going into the playoffs, but they really haven't gotten any notice for it because all everyone can say is, look how good they're playing without Crosby. That's a good team without Crosby. They have a lot of good players. That having been said, I still don't think that they can withstand Tampa Bay's offensive power, and I think if Tampa Bay even gets an average performance out of Rolison and their defense, then they'll be able to handle Pittsburgh. I took the Lightning at 5. That's not looking so good anymore, but we'll see. Canucks, Blackhawks, this one's easy. Vancouver is head and shoulders better than Chicago. Chicago just isn't a good team. They're lucky to be in the playoffs, and they should be done in short order, and last night proved that. I took Vancouver in 5. And, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Similarly, San Jose and Los Angeles. Los Angeles has that injury to Kopitar. Again, San Jose's, I think, head and shoulders better. Their special teams has been better. They played better heading into the playoffs. I think that San Jose handles Los Angeles in short order. I took them in 5 as well. I think. I'm going off memory here, but I believe I took them in 5. Detroit and Phoenix. I hate the Red Wings. They probably are the better team. I think Phoenix has a bit of an X factor in Briskalov. I think they can be more physical than Detroit. That didn't really work out so well for them last night, but I did take Phoenix in 7 games, so 1-0 series deficit certainly isn't the end of the world for them. I think they're better than they showed in the regular season. I think that they're capable of locking down Detroit's stars, and I think they'll win. I hope they'll win. I don't like Detroit. Anaheim and Nashville. Everyone knows that Nashville was my dark horse pick to win the Stanley Cup. Then their injuries, they had some injuries hit, and I kind of wavered on that a little bit. I'm still taking them as my dark horse pick to win the Cup. Not as strongly as before, but I think that how well they play defensively is going to be a huge factor. I think that they're capable of shutting down just about anybody. They certainly showed that last night, and just really being all over the Anaheim Ducks. And it's funny because Anaheim is everyone else's dark horse pick to win the Cup, it seems. And Nashville just played them great in the regular season. They went 3-1. They scored at least 4 goals in every single game against Anaheim. They won 4-1, lost 5-4. Won 4-1 again, and then won 5-4. And 3 of those were against Hiller, so it's not like you can really blame goaltending for that. Maybe kind of a little bit last night with Dan Ellis getting yanked in favor of Ray Emery. And, I just think Nashville's better. I think I took them in 6 games, but I don't really remember. And right now it's an hour and 45 minutes. Is that right? It's a 7:30 game. Fuck, I hate those. I guess it's 2 hours and 15 minutes until the Sabres game. So I'll sign off here, and you can just watch this on an endless loop over and over again until game time because you know you want to.